Hi everyone, it's Shannon, the Wealth Alchemist. Today I kick off my own journey to transform my health and start sharing my experiences, my hacks, my successes, and probably some of my failures with all of you, in the hope that it will motivate those of you out there who may also want to spend as many years as possible living your best life and feeling fit and strong. I turn 50 in 45 days, but age is just a number, right? Yes and no. I normally go have my blood work done annually to check the normal things like cholesterol, glucose, creatinine for kidney function, and a host of other things that I mostly don't understand. What I've noticed in the last couple years as some of the markers are going in the wrong direction. So things like my cholesterol and glucose. Additionally, I've had spiky blood pressure since I was actually in my 20s. For ages, I was diagnosed with white coat syndrome, where they thought, oh, I was probably just nervous going to have my blood pressure taken, and that caused the spike in my blood pressure. Eventually, my doctor here in Switzerland said, no, we really need to put you on blood pressure medication, which was a huge disappointment for me. I don't take any other medications. Then I've had some signs of arthritis in my fingers, and especially my right hand, and it is something that my mother and my grandmother have. And these are some pretty significant signs of aging that have started to put me on high alert. And up until now, I've sort of considered myself to be a pretty healthy person. I don't get sick often, and I just thought, well, I just have, maybe about those 20 pounds, extra 20 pounds I'm carrying around, and that was about it. I can't keep sticking my head into the sand and ignoring these things, because these will lead to pretty significant life-threatening diseases if I don't keep them in check. So I have made some pretty big changes in my diet over the last 12 months. Not perfect. I went vegetarian about a little over a year ago. Some might argue whether that's a healthy decision, but for me it was the right decision. And then about a month ago, after watching Seaspiracy, I stopped mostly eating fish and seafood. I personally love fish and seafood, and I grew up on it, and that's been difficult and hard to reconcile. So that's been difficult. I had a dry vegan January, then I made up for it by increasing my sugar content all month long. Then in March, I decided to really buckle down, and I did the Whole30, no alcohol, no beans, which for a vegetarian was quite difficult, mostly eating eggs as my protein. No dairy, which isn't a problem, except for the cheese. I love cheese. No wheat. I managed that okay. And by the end of the month, I had lost about close to 10 pounds, about 4.5 kilograms, and I felt really good. I added a significant amount of vegetables to my meals, and I also did mostly intermittent fasting, which we'll come to a little bit later. So where am I going with all of this? Well, in addition to wanting to get my weight down, my blood pressure down, and my glucose down, I also want to make sure that I am fit to participate in all those activities that my family loves to do. Play tennis and swim and go for hikes with the dog. I'm also inevitably entering menopause, and my system can get pretty jacked up, so I've heard. I don't want to suffer through menopause because everyone else did before me. I want to understand my personal hormonal balance and do everything that I can to get through this with as minimum amount of symptoms as possible. At least I'm going to try. And I know there's a lot of you out there who are either going through it or about ready to go through it. I want to build lean muscle mass and kind of upregulate my metabolism so that I can function and, not accept aging. I want to be paddleboarding. I want to be out there with my doggy who's sitting right next to me and sailing and, of course, see grandchildren one day, not too soon. So I've become an avid and curious student of the biohacking world over the last few months, doing a lot of research, listening to a lot of podcasts, and I have discovered some wild and crazy things. I want to try them, some of them, not all of them. I want to share them with you, and mostly I want to prove that aging is a disease and we do not have to age gracefully. I think we have a lot more control over how fast we age than most of us think. And I'm going to be sharing what I learn regarding glowing skin. I'm hoping to achieve. I don't have it yet. I've always had problem skin, but I'm going to try and do everything I can to biohack that. I will talk probably extensively about the wonders of intermittent fasting and a fairly new scientific discovery called autophagy, and just how important this is to clearing out our toxic proteins, or zombie cells, as some people call them, to prevent diseases from even getting started, especially neurodegenerative diseases such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. You may also have seen a post that I did a couple weeks ago about the fact that 2/3 of all new Alzheimer's diagnoses are in women. And they suspect that's starting to happen around menopause, that something triggers it. We are also dirt poor, not in money, but in our food. The Organic Consumers Association cites one study, a Cushy Institute analysis of nutrient data from 1975 to 1997, found that average calcium levels in 12 fresh vegetables dropped 27%, iron levels dropped by 37%, vitamin A levels by 21%, and vitamin C levels dropped by 30%. Another study concluded that one would have to eat eight oranges today to derive the same amount of vitamin A as our grandparents did. That's not okay, and that means that we're going to be deficient in a lot of these minerals. Almost everyone listening will actually be magnesium deficient unless you are actively taking supplements. Unfortunately, due to the proliferation of monoculture, which is basically farming over and over again with one crop, and the significant amount of pesticides being used around the world, one of the worst ones being glyphosate, commonly known as Roundup, specifically is messing up our bodies big time. Both men and women listening will want to know that glyphosate mimics estrogen, which Dave Asprey, the bulletproof coffee guru, says in his book Superhuman, which I'm reading and just starting, might explain why it causes human breast cancer cells to grow in vitro. For those of us in Europe and Switzerland, glyphosate has been mostly completely banned, but in America that's not the case, and it's often individuals and even local governments who are taking the reins to get it banned. It's pretty awful. Thus, we really need to make sure we are getting food as free of pesticides as we can. And I know that has cost issues to it, and we will cover that and talk about hacks around that. We need to talk about the supplements as well, what supplements people should be taking. So I want to take you on this journey with me. If you're up for it, there will be some pretty interesting supplements that I've come across that I'll be blogging about, very interesting ones. The emergence of cellular medicine could mean the end of disease as we know it. I really believe that we are at the threshold of preventing diseases. And if we really start to focus on how to stop mitochondrial decay and inflammation, I think that we can stop these diseases. It's a fast-moving train, cellular medicine, and the sooner you get on it and start exploring some biohacks with me to upgrade your power cells, the mitochondria, the harder it will be for inflammation and their offspring, diseases, to take over your body or the body of a loved one, right? We could really be living well into our hundreds. Not just to our hundreds, but really living well into our hundreds. What have I done so far? I decided to first start by collecting data. I bought a freestyle Libra glucose arm monitor by Abbott Labs, and this gives you your glucose reading for 14 days straight. I'm not diabetic, but my glucose readings have gone from around 5.2 mmol in 2016 to 5.87 in the last blood work done in March. And that starts to get uncomfortably close to a pre-diabetic state. Then I had the beginning of my Whole30, and then I ate really well. So I'll have to do another blood work in June because I've been told it should be about 3 months in between to see if that dietary change had any impact on the glucose or my cholesterol. So we'll be looking into that. But you basically put this thing on your arm and then you wave your phone over it to get a reading at any time of the day. And you can do a baseline reading the first thing when you wake up. You can do it before you eat, after you eat. And the first week that I did it, I kind of kept my diet more or less in a normal range because I wanted to see the difference. And then the next week, I implemented about 70 to 80% of the Whole30. And I'll share those results with you over the next few weeks. The next thing I did was just to start measuring the alkaline state of my body through the urine. And that's a super cheap and easy hack for everybody out there to figure out if your body is more alkaline or acidic. Ideally, you'd have +7 on your reading, and you'd stay in that zone. 7.4 is about the ideal. A small change in pH can have a profound effect on your body. Research seems to show an alkaline level of about 7.4 is, so it's kind of in this color range, is where your body is in its best state and able to function at the most optimal levels. For instance, alkalinity can aid in the reduction of inflammation. Again, we want to fight inflammation, including the brain, gut, skin, and muscles. The opposite is true. When you are more acidic, it leads to increased inflammation and eventually disease. So for very cheap, a small investment, probably between $6 to $15 or francs, you can order that from Amazon or a pharmacy near you. So go get them online, make this very simple, cheap investment in your health, and just check your alkaline state. We'll talk further about what you can do, some easy hacks to work towards getting your body into an alkaline state, and that's one easy thing that we can talk about. So, while I will be doing a lot of the heavy research lifting, I'm not a doctor. I'll be sharing with you my personal findings and how some of these hacks work for me or don't work for me or my body. I'm hoping to continue to lose weight as well, those extra pounds. It's not purely about losing the weight, but that's an important part of this journey. It'll be better for my all of my objectives. I'm hoping to see some improvement in my skin. I don't have a lot of makeup on, a little bit. I didn't want to overdo it because I want you guys to see what I look like now and what I look like a few months from now. I'll share with you cheap hacks to the more exotic ones, like stem cell therapies. I'll be interviewing, of course, some really cool people. I've got a very exciting doctor podcast coming up, one of the top cellular medicine and anti-aging doctors in the world. And wherever I can, when I come across a cool product, I will negotiate discounts for my tribe. And you know this will also be reflected in my longevity investment report that I'm currently writing and hopefully will come out very soon. We'll talk about which companies are well placed to help us age better, reduce or eliminate disease, and increase the quality of our lives. I plan to release a video every Monday on the topic of being a super ager, biohacker. I also post throughout the week interesting little statistics, studies, books that I come across that I think are useful and insightful. And I will share different exercise regimes that I'm trying that I find I like or I don't like, and you all could try any of them in order to build more muscle, because I want to build more muscle and kickstart that almost 50 metabolism, as well as some of the meals that I eat, especially when I'm intermittent fasting, to up-regulate my body, and why, and even the order that I eat them. So we'll talk about that. I'm just beginning this journey, so I don't know where it's going to take us, hopefully to really good health. I hope it takes us to the conviction that our DNA is not our destiny. Let's see. I'm ready for this adventure, and I hope you will join me. Reach out and tell me what you think. If you try anything, I'd love to hear. Sharing is caring. And I will see you next Monday on our journey to living our wealthiest and healthiest lives. Can't wait to go on this journey with you and celebrate a very long and healthy life with you all.